Tara Ando once famously quoted, "We borrow from the past to build for the future." I'm architect Karan Anand, introducing you to Season 3, Episode 1 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design, brought to you by our brand partners Highbeck, Kitchen Studio and Turquoise. Today we have with us Ayesha Puri of Sanjay Puri Architects and Neha Garg of Studio Jain. And I can't wait to introduce them to you all.
Hi, I'm Ayesha Puri of Sanjay Puri Architects. I have been practicing for 10 years now and I'm super excited to do this show with Karan today.
Yeah, and here this is Neha Garg from Studio Jain Designs. My name is not Jain, by the way. So I am practicing as designer from last 15 years and it's a changed profession out of my passion. And I was originally a finance candidate, now a design candidate, very contrasting thing, but very complementary also in a way. We'll be coming back and on this show, I'm very excited.
Thank you guys. So let's begin. Neha, you focus your professional practice a lot on vernacular design, using traditional material, earthy designs, and Ayesha, you on the other hand have a very futuristic palette. You use a lot of colors, you use a lot of modern designing. So what is the theory behind this? How did this design practice evolve for the two of you all?
Vernacular is one of the type I really cherish, but when it comes to earthy, I feel it gives a lot of resilience to the space, it gives a lot of inclusivity to this space, and also about the groundedness, because the kind of how we see the tactility of the stone, natural stone when I'm talking about, it can be limestones, so sandstones or any kind of marbles what you see, the kind of tactility the linen gives to us, and then kind of the lights which is given by our nature, that can never be beaten by any of the artificial lights. The biophilics, I feel like those are one of the best artifacts one can put into our spaces. So I really get connected to that. I really get connected to the nature, and which I feel is also my personality, and somehow I resonate to the clients who also resonate with the similar kind of likings. And I believe everybody with that kind of the lifestyle, we have such a sedentary lifestyle with us now. The clients also wants to have something where they have the peace of the mind, where they're feeling they're actually in their personal zones, where they can be grounded at their lowest level when they are coming back from their hectic days. I believe this works very, very well for my projects and for myself also.
Basically, when when you step on a Kota flooring, the feeling that you get is that, I think, is the essence of how you would kind of identify your designs.
Yes.
That's lovely.
Yes.
Thank you.
For me, I think I, as a personality, have always been drawn towards what's new or what's emerging. What have I not seen before? I think this is true even in terms of fashion, of a new book or a new TV show. I think it's been a very integral part of me growing up. Throughout my travels, I think if there's a new exhibit on, or if there's a new immersive experience, I'm very drawn to going and seeing what's upcoming or what I haven't seen before. And I think that plays a huge role in in the way I design. It's because I want to use newer materials that I've maybe seen abroad but haven't seen it applied here. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I think that color in particular brings a space a lot of joy, a lot of vibrancy and a lot of joy. So I think that experimenting with colors in new ways to bring out, whether it's a client or a brand's personality, I think it adds a sense of youthfulness to a project, which I really enjoy. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Interesting.
That's nice. Neha, you come from a background which is not design related at all. You've, I think, studied finance, and then you decided to transition into design, right? And Ayesha, you come from a background that involves your father, who's Sanjay Puri Architects, and Sanjay Puri Architects, and you've grown up watching him become who he is today, right? He's one of the most iconic designers in our country right now. So these are two very difficult but very intimidating situations to be in, and yet you all are where you all are right now, right? So could you tell us a little bit about your journeys?
Okay, so mine is quite a story. In fact, I would like to start from the very beginning. So I was one of the dumbest students of the class, and literally I was actually very dumbest student of the class, and I was very unsure only for the reason of that I was very underconfident also. So that gave me a sense of I became a very introvert person, and visual arts in the form of sketches, in the form of drawings, in the form of crafts, that I think was the only way of expression I could be talking to somebody or talking to myself. And that is how I didn't realize that eventually I evolved as evolving myself as an artist rather. But then since I had zero background into the architecture and art in my family, even to the parched level of the lands. Yeah. So then it was, I didn't get right mentorship, I didn't get right encouragement to get into the architecture or designing as an industry. So I landed into my second best ability, which was the numbers and which was analytical skill. So I get into the finance thing, but that was never my love. It was just out of my skill set I got into that. But then after serving as an equity research analyst for almost 6 years.
That sounds very fancy. What equity research
what does that
analyst?
mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean? Like stocks? Like
yes, it's a stock. So I was working with a foreign direct investor, and I was making the research for them on the Indian equities, and I was helping them for their investment. So I was working as an equity research analyst, and then you get some ikigai moments, and there, yes, universe was also inspiring me to get into the designing, which was always my love. And then I took a leap of faith in 2009, and that time I actually shifted to Mumbai after my marriage. And Mumbai says na sapno ki nagariya, so it gave the wings to my dreams also. And then that is how I converted into the designing thing. But then when I started, it was a very, very zinch level. It was without money, without any experience, without any portfolio, zero background into architecture, was a new mother then. It was a very, very daunting situation for me to have my own identity in such a saturated market of Mumbai. You know, Mumbai was always been saturated in terms of designing. It has given birth to so many good designers and architects.
It has. You have to find your niche. And even then there are like 10 designers in your niche just around the corner.
Yeah.
Thanks to my passion, thanks to my perspiration, which led me till here. And yes, now I have got my little identity. There is still a lot to achieve.
So did you study interior design or architecture?
I did.
Okay.
So when I switched my profession from finance to interior designing, it was just a flip of a day. I got up in the morning. I said, that's enough. I am done for the life now. No more finance. I want to get into the designing. That time there was hardly any internet backup. There were hardly any social media. I somehow got to know there are few colleges which are offering, weekend courses. Yeah. So one of the college was offering weekend course. So Saturday, Sunday, I was going to study. Monday to Friday, since I was late in the profession, I wanted to cover up. So I was working with an architect Monday to Friday, and Saturday, Sunday, I was studying. Wow. And that is why it was lovely experience.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Very exhausting.
Yeah, this just
like, what have I done?
The thought of this has now exhausted me.
But I mean, no regret. I feel like either we learn or we earn, but we never lose anything.
I'm glad I'm not sitting there to share my sob story. I'm like, मैं football में इतना अच्छा नहीं था, so I became an architect. My dream was to become a footballer.
Okay. No, I mean, it was never, no regret. I still enjoyed my each moment. Yes, they were daunting. There were some challenges, many challenges, in fact, for that. But then, this, as I said, that जब आप चाहते हो तो सारी शिज़्ज़त आपके लिए लेके आती है वो चीज़.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think mine is a very, very different story, because I think ever since a very young age, I was exposed to so much design.
Yeah.
So early on. So, my parents have been doing this for 40 years now, and I have seen their practice grow from 5-6 people to 20 people to 50 people. Now we're over 100 people, and it's been so organically ingrained in me since I was a child. I mean, I've been taken to sites since I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I've interacted with building models or home models at a very young age. I was made to learn AutoCAD in 7th grade.
Oh my God.
So in the 7th grade. So while people were deciding like which sciences to take up, on the side I've learned AutoCAD because my dad is like, you must learn this.
Wow.
I learned 3ds Max modeling in the 11th grade or the 12th grade. So before I could even decide which course I'm going to study, it's like I had already learned everything. So I was like, now if I don't do architecture, I'm just going to have to redo a lot of things.
Yeah, that would just be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if we went on a holiday, there would be a lot of like discussion around like, okay, we're going to go here because Zaha has just built this museum here. So I mean, it was just so much a part of me that it kind of came organically when it did. And I studied in Bath for 4 years, which is just outside of London. I worked in London for some time, and then eventually came back and joined my parents. And I think having them both in the industry and having to join an established practice, it comes with its own set of expectations and comparisons. So it becomes a little bit difficult in terms of finding your own voice or your own design language. So I think what I had to do was really hone in that, how do I make the best of the situation? So what I would say is, I think my father's approach to designing is that no two buildings should look the same. Everything should be visually striking, very specific to that context or that client. Whereas my mom's design approach is very fundamentally straightforward, very simple geometry but focus on detailing. So I think having been exposed to both of them, I think I took as much as I could from both of them, and I think I tried to create unique spaces which are detail oriented enough to sort of like represent the client's vision successfully. So I think while it has been a challenge to get here, it's been also a huge strength. So yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your education in Bath, if you don't mind talking about that, and how different was it when you came back here?
So I would say that the architecture program itself was great. They would teach us in a very practical manner. They would say that, okay, look, your next project is to design the Serpentine Pavilion, as if you've been appointed the Serpentine Pavilion, which is annually done in Hyde Park. They would say, go to Hyde Park, survey the land, get the land drawings, and design it and model it and show us how you would do something like this. So it was very practical in that sense. The only thing I would say is, coming from a fast-paced city like Bombay, to go to a small town like Bath, which you can literally cover in 2 days.
Exactly, yeah.
So
That's
to be
why
there
I
for 4
asked.
years, sometimes it got very difficult. Because as an architecture student, you're in studio 3 days in a row. There was a time where I was surviving on Twix and Red Bull for I don't know how long till my project got over. I had my pillow in studio, I had my toaster in studio, I was just like living there. So it's a very difficult course in general, and then to study it in a place which is, it's not as fast-paced or as like alive as Bombay. And 5 p.m. it would become dark. So there were times I'd call up my parents crying. I'm like, look, I'm done. I'm coming back. I don't want to do this anymore. And they were like, you can do whatever you want after you graduate. So I mean, I just try to get through it. But every 10 days I'd hop onto a train and go to London.
I mean, you have to. I was just like trying to compare that to like when I was in architecture and I had taken part in NASA. So we had, like, I was in the Hutco team, and I don't know if you all know Banganga, which is in Bombay. It's like this highly densely populated region, and we had to kind of design a housing colony for them, right? And our faculties basically said, we don't endorse you taking part in this competition, you need to attend our lectures. So we would just go there, and it was absolute ruckus, So, I mean, that's why I asked you that question, because that experience was very different from what I or someone, say, who studied in this country would have experienced. So it's very interesting. It's a really interesting kind of a point of view. Tell me about architects and interior designers that have inspired you to become who you all are.
Okay, I'll take.
Yeah. And also, I'm asking this question because, when we study in college, you always hear names, right? There's Zahadi, there's Tadando, there's Laurie Baker, there's Mies van der Rohe. There's names that are thrown all over the place, right? But each one has such a distinct style of design. And very often, like when I meet, say, a minimalist, right? Now, when a client is being addressing you as a minimalist, they do not understand what it means, right? For an Indian audience, minimalism is very different from what it actually is, or maximalism means just colors, which is not true. So I want to know if your design practices take origin from inspirations from, say, Indian architects or international architects who have kind of helped you shape the practice that you are today.
So I think in terms of inspiration, personally at least, I think that there are two philosophies that I've always sort of abided by or tried to abide by. The first being that every space I strive for it to be like an eclectic mix of different, whether it's like using textiles in a different way, whether it is using furniture sourced from Nagaland, you know, sort of putting in things that wouldn't necessarily go together, but to make it work in a new and refreshing way. And for something like that, I've always been inspired by Kelly Roessler. Wow. I think her work speaks for itself.
Oh, we match here.
Really? It's amazing how the inspiration is the same, but the work is so different.
Now I'm going to take credit and say that's why I got both of you all together. I planned and basis this answer.
No, but you get what I'm saying. Like she puts together.
I was to say Kelly Roessler and then you mentioned it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I think like her philosophy is such that, you know, you can make something vintage work with something super modern and it just somehow works. So I think I try to challenge myself in that sense in terms of using things that you wouldn't necessarily use together. And the second thing is to strive to create a shell that is timeless. So I think starting off, I didn't always do this. You know, I was always more focused on how can I incorporate the trendy or the cooler elements into the projects. And then I realized that, look, you are doing this project for 1 year. This client is living here for 10 years.
Correct.
You can't stick them with some like crazy walls and, you know. So what I've now realized after a while, but basically is that the shell should essentially be something that's more timeless and more classic. Whereas your furniture can be updated, your softer fittings can be changed here and there. So I think in terms of the timelessness, I've always admired Corbusier's work.
Wow.
So I think these two are key inspirations and have
like
always
the
been
big name out there. It's just like no one can.
But very different.
Yeah, very different.
Very different.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I think in terms of, at least personally for me, I think these two have been key, very integral characters in shaping my design language, which is still not fully developed, I would say, but yeah.
But I don't think it is for anybody,
Anyone,
right?
yeah.
No matter how old you get or how much experience you get, you're always
That's
growing,
true.
right? Because there's so much to gain from and to gauge from and with like the onset of social media, it's just crazy, because I wake up every morning and I'm like, okay, I've done a great design,
And then
I'm
you see
just
10
like,
other.
what? And I'm like, dude, I've done this arch, I've done this wall, and it's there, you know?
It's there. Everything you can dream of is there.
It's there, which is good and bad, you
Yeah.
know.
But yeah, let's hear your, other than Kelly Roessler,
Now you have to come up with another
I am
name.
going to say that because she's definitely an inspiration. So I would say that there is no one architect I can pinpoint on or I can pick something from. There's so many legendary architects in past, even the live architects and designers, so much to take from them. I mean, if we go in past, we had Charles Correa, such a context-driven architect, and then we have Zaha Hadid, fluidity from Zaha Hadid. The entire world is taking down now the inspiration from her, and then the eclectic side of Kelly Roessler. And then after we have how well the restoration happens from by Abha Narayan Lamba.
Wow.
So there's so much to be taken from these architects, and now with the evolution, how the entire design industry is coming, I think there is no white and black is left now. Everything is so fluid. You pick any of the architect, you can mix 4 of the architects,
And
you know,
create
inspiration. You can create your own version of by mixing your 4 of these architects or designers or any one of them. You know, and numbers are there. So I would say the entire design world, even the newest of the, youngest of the designers are giving so much of inspiration, so much to take from the industry.
When you talk about all these architects and all these designers and tags that are given to designers, right? Maximalism, minimalism, all of that. We come from a culture which fails to understand that there is also something called an art movement. There is something where we derive inspiration from, and you don't wake up one morning and you're just like, oh, I'm a maximalist, right? So it has evolved over centuries and centuries of artists and designers and creators making things. So you have suprematism, surrealism, Bauhaus, these styles. It's never ending, right? So have any of these terms or art movements, especially since you studied abroad, or since you mentioned Charles Correa and you mentioned Abba Lamba, like, do these movements have any relevance to the kind of work you're doing, or do you derive inspiration from elsewhere?
So likewise, as it goes for architects, it goes for all the eras and all the kind of design philosophies that are existing in this world. For me, the more inspiration is from the wabi-sabi philosophy, where we see the beauty in every imperfection. I think that's such a beautiful way of interpretation of the designing. And then I also really inclined for Harappan culture, Indus Valley civilization.
You've gone all the way back, huh? Like to the origins.
Because the origin has got such a scientific way to cater to the context, such a beautiful aesthetic way. Even the way they were making it was so amoebic, so fluid,
and the drainage system is still unmatched. We still can't.
It's coming back. You see now all the artifacts. What you see, those were inspired by all those Indus Valley civilization. You see the statues; those were coming out of as if those are coming out of Indus Valley civilization or those civilizations. So much to take from them. And then yes, I am also, when I talk about the earthiness of these kind of eras, I am equally inclined for colors. So I love the pop of the colors. So Bauhaus is the one which gives the form and the colors.
And when you like pitch projects to your clients, right, when you're kind of sitting across the table with them, because sometimes they may not understand these terms. So how do you kind of navigate around that entire challenge where you're like, okay, I want to like maybe incorporate a Bauhaus color. I want to in like maybe do a primary from these styles. So how do you kind of convince them into letting you do what you want to do?
Okay, so we can't expect our clients to be literate about the terms.
Yes, that's true.
Definitely visuals works with them. So we help them out with the visual ideation presentations at the initial level. And once they get an idea, they themselves get the clarity, like what are their choices. They initially are not aware about what are their likes and dislikes itself. So this becomes our responsibility to educate them. Okay, this is one style, this is another style. We can also make something mixture of that and make something very eclectic, very creative for them, very something new and innovative. And that is how they come to some conclusion. And then we take the process further.
I think I actually have never actively tried to get inspired by an art movement. I think because of us studying it or having been exposed to it or researching it for ourselves online, I think it's always just intuitively a part of my design process.
It
so
comes
I feel like so I feel like right now I have the handover that I was telling you about, but that project is very heavily influenced by pop art. Something that I've done in the past has been very deep-rooted Art Deco. But I think I haven't been able to actually realize that until the end of the project. And then I'm like, actually, so many influences have come from here without me having to pitch it or force it onto a client. But it's just been ingrained in us as sort of part of our thinking. So it just sort of comes. So I think it's really interesting to see how these movements still have relevance today without actually having to force their opinions onto.
And that's so cool because both of y'all have just been like, we design in this way because you'll have seen it so much and you like it so much, it's already psychologically ingrained in, it's like almost like muscle memory. So when it comes out, it's like, oh, this is what it is. And then someone puts a tag saying, oh, she's an art deco, a designer or whatever. That's lovely. Okay guys, let's take a break from this very interesting conversation and play a game. Okay? And this game has a hamper. Okay? So you all have to be competitive. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to give you a clue and then you all have to ask me 11 questions alternatively. And if at any point of time you feel like you have the right answer, you press the buzzer.
So total we can ask you 11 questions?
No, 11 each.
11 each.
So alternate. Yeah, so that's the max. So we'll start with the first clue. It's a very, very famous structure in Europe. And it does not have it does not have a standard shape.
Okay, which city is it in?
It's in Paris.
Is it the Louvre?
Yeah, wow, man.
Sorry, I got it. Just have a half.
So I'll give you company by having a tastier
How's
version
it?
of it.
It's not bad?
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
It is something we do to show clients.
Is it to do with a modeling software?
Yes.
Is there a 3D view?
No.
Oh
At
God.
best?
No,
Oh.
yeah, you can guess if you want.
Okay. Guess without buzzer.
हाँ.
Without buzzer.
Yeah.
SketchUp?
No. Good she did.
Oh, God.
Render. Chalo, have your shot, please.
I'll have a bit.
हाँ, have a bit.
Since I was like 80% correct.
It is a movement that saves on things. That
Saves.
saves things.
Okay, is it to do with the environment?
Yes.
Sustainability?
Yeah.
But is that a movement? Okay. Good that. Okay.
Listen, you have to catch
Isn't
up,
it-
Neha. You have to catch up now. He is a person without whom your site cannot be completed.
Is that related to execution?
Yes.
Okay.
Your turn, Ayesha.
Is it to do with something specific or is it a more macro?
It is a little more specific.
Okay.
Yeah. Like one task.
Okay.
One task. So one of the execution teams.
Yes.
Okay. Is that civil?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then I can just answer. It's a civil contractor.
No.
Okay.
Is it not?
Mason?
Yes.
Oh God!
Kadiya.
But that's what I call the Kadiya, the civil contractors.
Listen, you're too fancy for us. Who call them civil? No. Listen, no. Only you.
There's a civil contracting agency and their guys are the Kadiyas. But like, okay, fine, Mason. Same shot.
She is not appreciating the flow of this game at all. She's like, no. It is something that we design to show as a portion of a structure to our clients.
Is it physical?
No.
Is it drawings?
Yes.
Is it a type of drawing?
Yes. Don't press the button. Don't press it. Ask me some more questions. There are many types of drawings. Many.
Is that horizontal?
No.
By
I mean,
horizontal, you mean plans?
On a like, do you mean like a plan?
Like a flat surface.
It's
So
like
is
a
that
plan.
flat surface, plan level?
No, it's not a plan.
Okay.
Is it a vertical surface?
It's made on a horizontal surface, but it's a vertical surface. Yeah. Yes. Like vertical surface, matlab you're drawing it on a.
Yeah, that's
हाँ.
fine. But it's to represent a vertical surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an elevation.
Yes.
Okay, this is our third one.
It's a extremely famous, one of the most iconic homes in the world.
Is it in Barcelona?
No, it's not. Nice, good question.
Is it by Frank Lloyd Wright?
Yes.
He's already, I told you.
Is it Falling Water?
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's such a.
It's an art movement that involves a lot of landscapes and is European.
Impressionism?
Yeah, wow, man. Dude, what is this? She has won. She has won.
He's already won.
Chalo, I'll ask you one last. Okay. He's a very, very famous architect whose quote is extremely popular. One of the most famous quotes in architecture.
But now we have to guess the quote and then guess the architect.
Yeah,
So that's
I'm
like-
making it tough now because you're guessing everything in the first question only, yeah?
Okay, you ask some question.
Is that Indian architect?
No.
Okay.
Is it someone who does futuristic modern work?
In his time, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not like futuristic, but
So we know it's a man because he said his time.
so shit. His time.
Can you name a building he's designed?
No, then you'll know. Okay, let me just say that he's designed a building which is not a residential building or a commercial building, but it's just a space. Like an iconic space in Europe. Yeah. Related to minimalism. Chalo, itna bol diya maine. His quote is related to minimalism.
I really quit. She can answer that.
No, but this is, I'm still finding it hard. Let's
Very
have
famous
fun.
structure in Barcelona.
Mies van der Rohe.
Yeah. Nice. Chalo, we have a.
But
we have
what's
a,
the quote?
Less is more.
Oh, that's Mies van der
Yeah,
Rohe.
Mies van
Shit, I
der
didn't even know.
We have a clear-cut winner here. Is Ayesha.
She's Neha Garg, my research today.
Well done. Well done. Our brand partners, Hybeck, would like to present you with a hamper.
Once again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, chalo.
Okay. That was a lovely game. Congratulations, Ayesha, on winning decisively. Neha is going to make up in the next game, I'm sure.
Finger crossed.
So coming back to our conversation about art, architecture, growing up, life. When I was studying, or when all of us were studying, we came from an era where we were introduced to names like Zaha Hadid, Laurie Baker, Charles Correa, Nari Gandhi, B.V. Doshi. It was never ending, and these were iconic names that were always put out by, say, our educators or by people in our midst, and they said that if you want to learn brickwork, you look at what Laurie Baker is doing. If you want to learn about stone, you look at what Nari Gandhi is doing. Destadando for minimalism, brutalism, all of this. And as I have grown up, and all of us are growing up, this is just an opinion that I have, and I would like your opinion on it, is that gradually a lot of them have passed away. The entire culture of these single name designers has faded into obscurity, and now we just have studios who practice varied forms of design. So you don't have one studio doing only one particular kind of design, but they're doing everything, right? So do you feel like this is a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do we need to have like single movement studios back? What is your take or opinion on this?
I think it's actually a good and bad thing both.
Yeah.
I think that we're never going to forget the foundation that these industry pioneers have laid for all of us. But I think at the same time, social media, for example, has given everyone such a platform to showcase their work no matter how small you are as a firm.
Yeah.
You can be a 2-person firm, but your work can go viral on the internet, and that can make your career. And I think that was something it wasn't an opportunity given to everyone in the past. So there would have been so many people whose work has gone unrecognized, who haven't been given the platform that they needed. So I feel like this shift, while it's something that, I mean, it's such an important part of so many childhoods, where like you're shifting focus from those like iconic names to more collaborative studios. I think the future is collaboration. I think
that's beautiful.
I think it's just about, I mean, honestly, even the past few projects, what I've realized is when I've done it with, say, like if I'm doing a store, and if I've done it with, say, a fashion stylist on board, the outcome that you get is very different than if it would have just been my mind working on the project. Even if it's a team that I'm working with, if someone on my team is better at detailing, I can leave the detailing it to them. Like, I don't need to get involved in all these nitty-gritties, because then it becomes a one-person vision, which I don't think is the way in which the future is heading. I think it's more about creating something diverse that hasn't been done before. I think that only happens from collaborating and expanding and opening.
It's almost like an ecosystem now.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But it's not to say that we forget what the industry leaders ever did, and not to say we still don't. I mean, Zaha Hadid is still, even though she's passed away, her firm is churning out work after work, still
crazy,
emblematic of her personality. So it's a good and bad thing, I would say.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would rather say, in fact, I feel it's not at all bad. I don't think so. Their identities is anywhere fading. These were such legendary architects. They were inspiring that time. They are inspiring, and they will keep inspiring even in the future. I mean, yes, as I mentioned earlier also, like there were so many past architects we take inspiration from. All of their works are now on the social media. Anybody can take inspiration from that. But best part is that people are taking inspiration and they are creating their own versions out of that now. And another thing is that when we as designers and architects, when we talk about, those were the celebrity architects and designers, those were like single man show set up then. And I believe the industry is similar till date also. We see, even though we have some particular name for our setups, the industry is still by that particular phase of that architect or designers. So the legacies is still on. We are like that of the celebrity industry, where the face value is more important
We've just
than the
given
name
creative
value.
names to our studios.
But then I will also not go away from the fact that, as she very rightly mentioned, it's actually the act of collaboration, not only with the outsiders, when we have the vendors, when we have different brands, when we have different execution or the artisans to collaborate with. It's also a collaboration with three. I always say every project has three partners within. We as designers, the client are the very big participation. They are the partners, and then the contractors who are executing it. So when all three of us and each micro entity within this partnership unit are working together, that collaboratively gives the form for the entire project. And I believe this is what the requirement of an art. we still are taking the inspiration from our legendaries, and then we are now putting it in our own version. So we are evolving.
That is, both of you have given such like
Philosophical.
but it's so beautiful because it's like you've spoken about how you've created, like it's an ecosystem that exists now, and at one point of time it did not exist because we did not have the resources, we did not have the way to access it, and now we use those names to take inspiration and then build ecosystems and kind of create designs, which is beautiful. That's really nice answers, guys. Thank you so much.
So and we're both getting new gifts.
Huh? Your own Hi Beck. Are they there? Are they left? Okay. I need a gift, hi Beck. So, okay. I mean, and when we talk about these designers, we're talking on a very macro level, right? Because we look at the structures and we look at spaces, but let's bog it down and bring it down to, say, the micros of designing, right? So, when both of you do projects, you're doing large scale projects, small scale projects, whatever it is. So, when someone looks at it, they just look at it as a beautiful project, but they don't realize the nitty-gritties that go into it, like integrating sculpture, integrating art, beddings, cushions. When you're doing commercial spaces, right? The way the benches look, the way the tables look, your USB ports, smallest of things. So, could you talk to us a little bit about the difference between the macro and the micro when it comes to designing and how it influences your practice?
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I would rather say that the God is into the detailing, and how we see the entire trend that even the architects are turning out to be the interior designer, because that's the beauty, that's the versatility they get into the interior designing when they get the hands-on on the micro detailing. So, I mean, you talk about the surfaces, you talk about even the minor test of the details that you give to the elevations. When we talk about the detailings on the accessorizing, on the styling side, people are working so very well on, even the smallest book cover, coffee book cover, and even how the sculptures are turning out to be the vases, how the cushions embroideries are coming in, or the kind of the linens which are shaping up, the kind of these things are coming. So yes, so micro, that is how we see the trend, that even the architects are turning into with the interior design, because that's the beauty and that's what we all enjoy, doing the micro detailing into every aspect, be it your technology, be it the styling bit, or be it even on your detailing or the drawing side.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's amazing.
I think what we as a practice tend to do is to sort of tackle the macro first.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot to do with the project stage and timeline, where we urge the clients to get the bigger things out of the way, where we're looking at the shell, the materials, the larger items like maybe the wardrobes or the kitchens, and to get all of that out of the way, because what happens is it's very difficult for them to start focusing on the micro level until these things are cleared, because it's that thing looming in your head.
Exactly.
So I think once that's out of the way, then it becomes much easier to say, okay, let's go to an art gallery, try to pick up art, try to look at sculptures, try to work with textile artists to create screens. I think it's very important to sort of work in a way where the stages are clear, in the sense that, okay, now we've managed all the macro things, now we move on to the micro things, so that equal focus is given to each stage of the project. And I think that's how we're able to create a project which blends the two kind of quite seamlessly and in an organic way.
Yeah, true. That's lovely. That's a beautiful answer. Also, when we're talking about the macro and the micro, right, both of you all experiment with very different kinds of materials. For example, you work with liquid brass, you work with stone, you work with a lot of futuristic materials. So could you tell our audiences a little bit about the materials you use and why you do it, and what's the reasoning behind it? Or maybe you all could even talk about a project where you've used it.
The materials which are available on earth and surrounding us, those are still the same materials. There must be some of the bit of the evolution in the material form, but then the materials which is given by nature are still same. But the better part is the architects and the designers like us, we give an artistic and an innovative way that how we can interpret it, reprint it, and then we can put it in a different format. So that is what is my effort for my each project. I use the similar products and the materials, like I use the same stone, I use the same fabric, I could be using the same the paint shade, I could be using the same wood, but then how it's being presented, the presentation is the art. So how you present it along with and how you include it with different materials together, that makes the entire story of the design. So I'll give you one of the examples of one of the project that's in Delhi. And right at the entrance, we wanted to give that some hero element, and we wanted to give some kind of luxurious effect, but a understated luxurious effect. We experimented with liquid brass. Right at the entrance, we had given a very huge wall which was completely on the patina finish with the liquid brass done on a very thin layering done on the vertical surface, and I contrasted it with black and white marble, deepest of the black and the brightest of the white together, put it in a very different geometric format, in a staggered format, and that is how the entire house was given that wow factor right at the entrance. And the story later behind was different, because that itself had created such an aura, but that the designs further were subtle, were also taken in the similar format of the wow thing. So that is how we play very important role, that how we can combine the correct measurement of the materials in the correct way, in the correct form, to give the best of that material.
So I think basically technology has allowed products to evolve to the extent that you're able to do things today with materials that you weren't able to do 10 or 15 years ago. So I think it would be unwise to not utilize that to your advantage. So for example, a very recent client of mine had wanted a store with an electric blue flooring.
Wow.
Now, it's very difficult to achieve an electric blue flooring in say a natural stone, or in say a tile, or in a material that will honor what they want in terms of the exact color and the exact finish, and also look good aesthetically. I think because of the developments in micro concrete, we were able to pigment it in such a way that it met the client's shade requirements, but created a seamless blue flooring, no joint.
Electric blue and micro concrete.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I was really scared at first, because I was like, this can go drastically wrong.
Yeah, and it's micro concrete, and most vendors in our country still haven't managed to achieve it.
Yes.
So, I mean, it took a lot of trial and error, but I think the only way you can do something new or groundbreaking is by taking that plunge in terms of using what today's day has to offer. So I think we try as much as possible to sort of use as much new materiality as we can. Another thing is, like Neha said, we also like to use materials that we have used in the past, but in new ways.
Yeah.
So for example, recently we used bathroom tiles to make a coffee table. And it came out incredible. And the best part is it doesn't pick up stains, because it's a bathroom tile.
It's a bathroom
10 people can come and leave their drinks, and I don't even have to tell them to put a coaster. So it's just really cool to use a material that people have had this association with. Okay, a tile has to be in the bathroom, and take it out of that
So true.
that
I can relate it.
stereotypical use, and then use it in a new way.
I can relate so well with that. We are using Bizaja tile for a bar unit outside in the balcony.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
So there can be so much versatility with the same product which is available. It's just like how we perceive it and how we put up and present it to the client.
And I think when we look at your work, when everybody looks at your work, that you both have such contrasting work, but both of y'all experiment, y'all innovate, and y'all create, which is very rare to find in studios, because we kind of get used to a rut where we're just like quota this, or if you're using like futuristic material, again it's the same. Whereas y'all take that leap of faith and you're like, okay, I am going to do this, and you'll achieve that, which is really, really beautiful, and that's why your projects reflect it. And it kind of reflects on the identity that y'all are creating for yourself, which is absolutely incredible, guys. Thank you for those lovely answers, guys. I would also like to ask you a very, very important question and your personal opinion on it. And how do you feel the future of interior design and architecture is evolving in our country? What is the future of it?
So I think you can even take the example of the way Netflix has done for actors, right?
Yeah.
They've given a platform where actors which wouldn't have made it on the big screen have become huge successes in TV. I think that's what social media has done for design and architecture. I think it's showcased talent that we otherwise didn't know existed. I'll be able to find someone casting patina in Ahmedabad and order, something like I'll order handmade tiles from Nagpur, or it's just so insane because I've seen it on Instagram and then I'm able to access it. And I think the evolution of this sort of like dynamic design language in India is so interesting because, I mean, you see it even with design shows, right? Like the last India design show, I was blown away by some of the stuff we've seen.
It was crazy.
Like Indian craft and handicrafts have been taken to such an exciting.
And we're pushing it now, which is
Yeah,
beautiful.
we're pushing it. Yeah, like there's so many now international fairs where people are excited to see Indian products.
Exactly.
And I think it's just so exciting to be a part of this era where we're going to witness so much local craft coming to life, where we won't rely on importing anymore. And I think that the whole landscape is a very interesting one to be in now.
Wow, that's a fancy answer. That's a beautiful
I'll add
answer.
on her. I have just one single line. I think India has become global. That is something which is very, very good happening for our country because we already have such a rich heritage with us, such a beautiful tradition with us. It was getting extinct. Thanks to few architects and designers who are taking actually the efforts and they are becoming more versatile with their work. This is not just confined to only the four walls now. It's been coming in the smallest of the thing like a cup, or it's coming on a sculpture, or it is coming on a sculpture table rather, So it's coming in, it's taking any form and it is getting global. And there are many platforms who are now giving recognition to these Indian art and architecture and the traditions. I believe we have a very beautiful
We're
future.
at the cusp of something very beautiful.
Very beautiful. And we are now going to boom a lot from here.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay guys, so before we wrap, we're going to play another game. So Neha, I'm going to start with you. It's redemption time, okay? If your designs could be summarized into one art movement, what would it be?
Maximalism.
If you could use only 3 colors in a room forever, what would they be?
Beige, white and black.
Wow. Okay. What's your personal rule for mixing old and new styles?
Versatility.
What's your spirit furniture?
A sculpture stone.
Lovely. The final touch in a completed room that makes the deal for you.
Styling.
Okay. Most timeless design trend according to you.
Wabi sabi.
If you could stay in one space for the rest of your life and never get out, would the space be minimalist or maximalist?
Minimalist.
Lovely, well done. Well done. Good job. Okay. Ayesha, it's your turn now.
Okay.
What's your favorite underused design material?
Stone.
Okay. If you had to pick one design era to live in forever, which would it be?
Modernism.
Modernism. Okay. I thought you were going to say Art Deco. Would you design a space entirely without art?
No, I would hope I never have to do that.
Never in my life.
Okay. Favorite design element for a bathroom?
I think natural light
Do you prefer designing with symmetry or imbalance?
with symmetry. I have OCD, so if
Okay.
I see something a bit off, I have a problem. I need to.
Like this table.
No, it's fine.
What's your favorite oops moment that turned out amazing?
I think actually what had happened was before your final coating of marble, the civil guy had done a very honed matte finish before making it glossy. And we all looked at it and we all loved it. It looked like a limestone. And you can't do something like that in an apartment in Bombay. You can't use limestone, it's a porous material. But this was an Italian marble which was honed. And I think everyone loved it so much that we decided we'll make the whole home out of this matte honed marble.
Oh, and you just epoxy
And
coated it.
yeah, the whole thing.
Wow, that's
and
beautiful.
I just think that was a mistake, or not even a mistake, but like a experiment which sort of turned out really cool.
That's lovely. Last question. What's the most unexpected thing that inspires you?
Fashion.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, guys, so we're done. Our audiences are going to decide who the winner is because I don't want to be judged. Well done. Our rapid fire round has been won by Neha. Well done, Neha. Congratulations.
Yes, my fingers are crossed there.
We have another hamper for you now, Neha, presented by our brand partner, Highbeck.
Congratulations. Thank you so
Well done.
much.
Well done.
Thank you. Okay, this looks interesting.
Okay, guys, that was amazing. That was a lot of fun. Well done, Neha.
Thank you.
Before we wrap this episode, episode 1 of season 3, I would like for both of you all to answer a question that we would all like to know is, what does success mean to you all? Ayesha, you can.
I think up until now, I have always defined success by external markers. So I have a little note on my phone where it goes yearly, and then it'll say like features that I aim to be in, or financial targets that I aim to meet. And what happened to me recently was I basically was very unwell, and I realized that it's just been exhaustion catching up to me, and it just led me to feel very burnt out. And I felt like just creating these expectations for myself in my head is not what success should be defined as. And I think as we're starting off this new year, I have decided I want to just redefine success to being able to have a good balance, like a work-life balance, to be able to have the ability to rest mentally and physically. And I think that's what I'm going to prioritize this year. And it's not going to be about these features or financial targets. It's going to be about restfulness and being able to, like, you know, curl up on a weekend, read a book, and not have to like go to 100 sites and do 100 things. So I think I'm just going to take it easy and find success in the smaller things.
That's lovely. I think we should all take up that resolution.
Yeah, I think
We all should.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
should.
That's lovely.
Yes. Very so true. I was feeling like, okay, oh my God, this is something
है ना?
desperately is required.
Yeah.
Desperately is required.
And then I was like, I'm like, is my phone buzzing? Can I? I'm like, thank God. Okay, please.
Okay. With my background, when I was deprived of having the correct mentor or the correct guidance, if I can be an educator or a guidance to the society, to the aspirants, and that is what I'm trying to right now. I'm creating some kind of content with me with which I can be a help to the aspirants, where I can teach them, okay, what is the practicality? It is not a fancy world. There are too many practical aspects to be looked for, and it is not only about aesthetics, it's about finance, it's about your marketing, it's about your visibility, it's about your also about public relationships, it's also about admins, it's also about systems. Who will be catering that? And not the right content is available in our education system, which is giving these insights. I was just been to one of the college. I'm also an educator. I had been to a college, and I asked that what all subjects do you have? They said communication is the subject. And then I asked them that, okay, what are you being taught in the communication, which is very, very vital in our industry, in any industry for that matter. So I went to that college, and then they said that, okay, they are being taught communication. How are you getting how are you getting learned on the communication? They said we were asked to keep books on our head and we were asked to walk. How does that relate to interior designing communication? They said that, okay, their professor was saying that this will give them the confidence. Is this the level of education is required in our design industry?
Which college was? Let's see. I'll ask you this question later.
So I tell you, this is so very important. The right direction, the right mentorship is required. If I were be having such privilege, probably I would be 7 years earlier in my career. I wish I could give that to aspirants, and I'll be privileged to do that.
Thank you both for such beautifully inspiring answers. Like really, like heart-rending answers. Lovely.
Thank you for all the questions.
Yeah,
They were also.
actually,
This is the first time I didn't miss a single question. Thanks to Ayesha.
No, I'll check if you missed later.
एक दो miss हुआ होगा. So
But it was fun.
Before we go, would you all like to address the audience with a piece of advice? Maybe just one line that you could look into the cameras and just give a word of advice, and then we can end.
To audience or to designers or aspirants?
Whoever you like, whoever's watching.
Okay. I think there is no alternative to hard working. That gives you win.
That's lovely.
I think always stay inspired, but always stay true to yourself.
So true.
That's amazing. Thank you guys. It's a wrap. Let's call it a wrap. Thank you for watching Season 3, Episode 1 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design. Brought to you by our brand partners Highbeck Kitchen Studio and Turquoise. Stay tuned for our next episode. It was competitive, very close.
It was competitive.
Excuse me, I got 5 things right.
See, competitive only.